Matt Wallace's viral tweet that said, Oprah Winfrey has been buying up land in Maui like crazy. A 520-acre plot for $3.89 million this year, 330 acres for $2.47 million, two 10-acre swaths of land for $100,000 each last year. In the last few years, she has gone from about 100 acres of land in Maui to over 1,000 acres. Then, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a fire comes and destroys many homes near her, but her land remains untouched. Now, Wallace also tweeted, locals in Maui were refusing to sell their land to the elites. The part of the island mainly destroyed by the fires was prime area right next to lavish mega mansions.
Lahaina is not for sale. I repeat, Lahaina is not for sale.
Please don't approach them with an offer to buy land. Please don't approach their families to tell them that they're going to be better off if they make a deal.
Now, a lot of those locals are forced to sell their land, and many tragically died in the flames. Oprah Winfrey has a luxury mansion in Maui. It's completely fine. Jeff Bezos has a luxury mansion in Maui. It's completely fine. Lady Gaga has a luxury mansion in Maui. It's completely fine. Bill Gates has a luxury mansion in Maui. It's completely fine. How did the fire know to avoid the most expensive mansions? Wake up!
Some speculate that a directed energy weapon, or DEW, was used to intentionally start the fire so that a World Economic Forum friendly, climate change fighting 15-minute city could be built upon the destroyed town of Lahaina. This doesn't make sense though, because back in January there was a meeting held on Maui about turning it into a 15-minute city. Wait a minute, that would actually make it make more sense. However, with the mainstream media working in lockstep with each other to discredit the conspiracy theory about the wildfires, using familiar terms to smear the theory such as baseless conspiracy theory and misinformation that come right out of their playbook, you can be sure that the idea is completely false, because the fact checkers said it was false.
So what I think is going on in Hawaii is exactly what's going on in Alberta. They're land grabs. Hawaii is very small. It has a small amount of land available, especially for millionaires and billionaires. So the easiest way, instead of offering people money for their homes, is to just burn the entire place down and pretty much burn people out of their area. They did that in Alberta here to try and get people into 15-minute cities, and I'm pretty sure that's what they're doing in Maui. Now, why am I saying that? Well, I did a video on the Epstein flight log list, exposed everybody that was on the flights. If you look at the correlation of the people who are on Epstein Island and the people who own houses on Maui, you're going to see a huge correlation. And these people do not stop at anything. And so what people started doing is they won't take any offer from any developer. So what's another way of getting people off of their land is to burn it, scorch it, or make it literally non-livable on. And I think that's what's happening in Hawaii.
Daniel Zeck shared this tweet that said, from what I'm gathering, lots of Maui residents believe the fire was a deliberate attack and land grab by the US government, ultimately backed by the WEF and its plans for Agenda 2030, snatching sacred land from sacred people under the guise of environmental protection and conservation, moving populations towards specified urban centers. Now,
so the police chief is very suspect. I'm sure he's a criminal. If we just look hard enough, we're going to find his crime. In fact, you don't have to look that hard. By the way, this police chief, now here's the thing that people are making a big deal out of, that he was also the guy in charge of the Las Vegas Strip when there was the Las Vegas shooting massacre. So he goes from one unbelievable tragedy in America 4,000 miles away to the next big, huge crash. Just say people are saying it's suspect.
You know, I told you that thing. So they call Vegas in Hawaii. They call it the ninth island. Vegas.
Yes,
there's a ton of people from Hawaii there.
He was the cop in charge of the Las Vegas Strip during the massacre there, and she's saying maybe you don't care because you're new here. And look at him. What kind of a person acts like this?
People here. Maybe it's different for you because you just got here, huh? So it's not the same.
He's got to have a little helper, a little protector. This guy's such a coward.
He needs security.
He needs a goon like this to protect him, because that's what cops do. They protect each other, not the people. Don't forget that.
This was not a natural disaster. This was a direct energy attack on the people and the place of Maui.
The media is lying and or covering up the extent of the damage and the death count.
As soon as the locals congregated, gathered supplies, used their own vessels to transport the goods from point A to point B, the government took it away. The government took it away. Realtors are contacting people whose homes just got burned down. Tourists are swimming in the beaches that our family and our friends had to escape to, and you're just gonna dive in there like a tragedy didn't just happen. All of you make me sick.
The government withholding every single one of our donations because we are not a part of FEMA and Red Cross. So none of this is eligible for giving out. Tell me why.
There were hundreds, if not thousands, of people that died. What they're telling you in the news is not true, and I lived it firsthand.
So I went around back to Front Street, and all the cars were lined up, but none of them were moving. And I walked all the way from Safeway to the Chart House. Not one car had moved. And I was wondering what was stopping the traffic. Well, it was a policeman. And I got to the end and I looked up north. There were no obstructions. There was no reason to keep those cars there.
Are you serious?
I'm serious as a heart attack. And I said, what are you doing? He goes, well, I'm under orders to keep them here. And I said, the fire is right around Safeway. It's going to hit Front Street. You know, these people got to get out of here. And he said, I'm following orders.
No, I'm saying they were blockaded in by the police at the end of Front Street.
Yeah.
Maybe now you know why this guy doesn't want to answer any questions.
So it's not the same.
Well, reporters nearly gasped as Joe Biden ran from their questions about the rising count of Americans dead from the Maui wildfire disaster. Biden was asked about the devastating Maui fires, and he replied with no comment.
About the Hawaii response, Mr.
Endless billions for Ukraine, including $200 million more today. But President Joe Biden doesn't even have a comment for Maui. Joe Biden spent the weekend at the beach, while Kamala Harris spent it in Martha's Vineyard.
Mr. President, are you going to take questions on Maui?
Can you come talk about Maui? Can you come talk about Maui, Mr. President?